Hello, I am on Facebook, Oliver Smith. And this here is my good friend Emerson. I'm his human. He's my dog. This is a little poem I wrote a few years ago. I can't claim full credit for it though. A friend, David Kameninski, helped with a bit of it. This poem is called The Law-Abiding Citizen. Conform, 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 conform. Step in line and step along. You can be as individual as you like, just make sure you step along. Be a good boy and play along. It's how you will belong. Why do we do this, Daddy? Because, he said. It's how we do belong. We don't want to stick out from the crowd. If we do, we shan't be long. We'll be laughed at. We'll be bullied. That's how we'll know when we're wrong. Teacher gives me answers. That's how I know when I'm wrong. Don't want to be laughed at. Don't want to be bullied. So I conform and go along. They'll tell you don't believe in science if you don't believe what you ought. But how can it be science if you're simply believing what you're taught? This person must be stupid, of an essentially special sort. He doesn't conform, he doesn't belong. Step in line and step along, each singing their own song. We're individuals now. Can you feel the irony in how we tricked ourselves into this ignorant and unthinking bliss? So you got an education and some indoctrination in a modern Western nation and a university degree. Do you know what I see? A cue invented right on cue, the way it's programmed to. But you wouldn't have a clue why you think the way you do. You don't question much the way things are in the world today, as long as you get your pay and have somewhere warm to stay. Learn the program, get your degree, become a socially acceptable authority. Just stick to the script and you'll be fine. Make sure you toe that line, else you'll be set out alone to wallow in the brine. We've just come through, or been experiencing, what we've been told to believe has been a worldwide pandemic. Why do we believe there's been a worldwide pandemic? Because we've been told to believe it. Have we seen bodies in the streets? No. What evidence have we seen other than being told to believe it? We've been told of all these deaths. And yet, the year 2020, the year of the pandemic, has had far less deaths than the year previous. How is that possible? In a pandemic, for there to be less deaths than the year before. The masks are off now. On many people, the masks have come off. I went up and spoke to one person in a shop. I told him it was so wonderful to see someone without a mask. And I was hoping that it was because he'd thought about it and realised how foolish it was. But no, it was because he now had permission to take the mask off. Because he'd ceded ownership over his body to someone else who had given him permission to uncover his face. We believe we're in a scientific society, but the last year has shown that that is simply not true. We believe things without evidence. We do what we're told. If we're in a scientific society, we'll need evidence before we believe things. Who am I? I was a registered nurse. I worked for 7 years in an acute respiratory, dermatology, infectious diseases board. I'd put together ventilators. I'd go to other wards and put together ventilators. I looked after ventilated patients in intensive care. I showed people how to use ventilators. Now, so, whilst masks may have come off for many people now, we know that When they're told to put them back on, they're going to come back on. They're going to put them back on because that's what they've been told to do. They're obedient. Now, have you ever thought, no, seriously, have you ever thought, what are the 3 primary inputs that your body needs regularly in order to keep you alive? Food is a big one. Every cell in your body is built through the food that you eat, so it is pretty important. You don't need to eat all the time though. You can fast regularly. Most of us fast overnight. That's why we call the first meal of the day break fast, because we break our fast. Now you can go up to 2 months without eating, though I wouldn't recommend it. Many people in our society probably should eat a lot less than they do, but most people should not be fasting for 2 months at a time. Think about it. How do you feel when you miss one meal? Now, water is pretty damn important. Without water, your heart won't pump, your blood won't flow, your kidneys will shut down, chemical reactions cannot occur, your cells will collapse. I could go on and on about the importance of water, but I think we all have a fair idea how important water is. Again, you don't need to have water continually. You can generally go up to 3 days without having water. That is, before you die. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Now, oxygen. Oxygen is the most important of the 3. A fit person will tend to breathe 16 breaths per minute. That's 960 breaths per hour. That's 23,040 breaths per day. Every breath you take brings air into your lungs to load up your blood with oxygen that is then transported all over your body. Every cell in your body needs oxygen in order to operate. Whether you're awake or asleep, unless there is a conscious effort made not to breathe, you're breathing and inhaling oxygen. You might be able to go 40 days without food. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. And most people should not. You might be able to go 3 days without water. Again, most people should not. But the most you can go without oxygen and not acquire brain damage as a result is 8 minutes. I don't food fast for 40 days. I don't recommend water fasting. I don't recommend food fasting for 40 days. I don't recommend water fasting for 3 days. And I definitively do not recommend air fasting at all. If you want health, if you want immunity, these are the 3 primary things you need to work upon: the quality of your food, your water, hydration, and your breathing. Now, if you want to suppress your immune system, oxygen fasting is a good way to do that. Who would oxygen fast, you might ask? Anyone who routinely breathes shallowly is oxygen fasting. Anyone who wears a mask is oxygen fasting. Think about what you're doing every time you wear a mask. You are inhibiting your inspiration of the primary nutrient you need in order to live: oxygen. When people attempt to claim otherwise, there's a word for the activity that they're engaging in. The word is lying. The amount of people we regularly see in respiratory distress from masking is prima facie evidence that engaging in masking is inhibiting one's oxygen intake. Simultaneously, you're inhibiting your expiration of carbon dioxide. Your trigger to breathe is carbon dioxide buildup. The more you prevent your carbon dioxide from escaping, the more you build up and rebreathe your carbon dioxide. The more you increase your desire to breathe. This carbon dioxide buildup makes one hypercapnic. Hypercapnia makes one acidotic. The more acidotic you force yourself to be by forcing yourself to rebreathe your own carbon dioxide by wearing a mask, the more you increase your likelihood of becoming sick. This whilst you have a germ net strapped to the front of your face to trap, incubate, breed and grow all the viruses, bacteria, spores, molds that you are supposed to breathe out to disperse into the atmosphere. Instead, you are incubating and growing them right in front of your face to breathe into your lungs. There's no mystery why mask wearers have a greatly increased likelihood of getting sick, increased 13-fold for cloth mask wearers. If you believe that germs make you sick, I don't, by the way. I know that germs don't make a person sick unless they're already been compromised. If you believe that germs make you sick, why would you go and actively suppress your immune system by oxygen fasting and increasing your likelihood of becoming sick? How is that rational or logical? If you believe the nonsensical and irrational notion that you are spreading diseases that you show no symptoms of, and as other health authorities have recognised, asymptomatic spread of COVID-19 is extremely rare. A sickness that you've seen no evidence of. If you're not wearing a mask, have you considered what other delusional beliefs you might hold? Why do you believe something that has no evidence? If you believe you should wear a mask down the street because surgeons wear masks in surgery, should I assume that you are psychotic and you might try to commence operating upon me at any time? If you believe that you should wear a mask because someone else has told you to, how long have you been outsourcing ownership over your body for? How long have you been outsourcing your intelligence for? Now, Emerson is going to help me with a little experiment here. He doesn't know it yet. But watch what happens when we put a mask over Emerson's face. Emerson doesn't like it. I'm not striking it to him, but you'll see him moving away, and he wants that thing off. Emerson instinctively knows that we do not cover our face. If you're a person doing what you're told to do because someone else has told you to do it, now Emerson's gone, then you are denying the instincts that your body has, the realization that you need oxygen to breathe, that you should not have your face covered. If you believe you need to cover your face because someone else has told you to, who's more intelligent, you or Emerson? Think about it.